Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. Well, welcome everyone back to another DeFi Raiders AMA. I'm Degenic, and today we're talking to Doom Infinity, Metric 8, and Pegasus from the All In Finance team. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. I'm excited to hear from you and talk about what y'all are building.
Definitely, yeah. Thanks for having us again.
Yeah, our pleasure. So if you would, please take turns and introduce yourselves and tell us about your role on the team and how you got started in DeFi and how y'all met and got together.
Yeah, happy to get started that one. So I run the marketing and communications, and I basically got started DeFi probably sometime in 2020, really around COVID. Really just wanted to figure out how to generate better money and just side investments, riskier bet, of course, but really been part of the Phantom ecosystem ever since, and many other ecosystems too, but found my home at Phantom. Which loved it a lot. And yeah, just been a DeFi degen ever since, probably for many years. Winning along the way, losing along the way. You know how it goes.
Yeah, very cool. Now, Doom, would you like to go ahead?
Yeah, let me preface this by saying I'm a little under the weather today, so if I'm a little slow, a little stuttery, please forgive me, everybody. But yeah, I started in crypto in about 2017, 2018, just trading some like large caps, Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatnot. And then I slowly came over to the DeFi degen space through Binance. Some of my first projects were like SafeMoon was like my first big like getting my feet wet in the space. Moved over through quite a few small projects over there. Right now, I'm doing a lot of stuff with like Based and Tomb on the Phantom side. If you guys aren't familiar with the Phantom ecosystem very well, it's really growing and I'm really starting to love it versus BSC in the long run. You guys should really check that out separately from our project. But as me, I'm kind of the project architect, if you want to call me that. I've kind of designed a lot of the synergies between the tokens so they play on each other, and kind of like the long-term roadmap as far as the different utilities we plan on offering.
Yeah, very cool. We're a lot of us are very fond of Phantom here. And Metric, please introduce yourself.
Sure. So I'm Metric 8. I kind of see the overall day-to-day operations of the team, holding the team accountable to some deadlines, scheduling, planning. Specifically got into DeFi almost 2 years ago. Prior to that, I kind of stayed away from DeFi, all the horror stories hearing about it being the wild, wild west. But my inner degen was activated once I came across my first degen project within the space, and learned to love the uniqueness to decentralized finance and being afforded the opportunity to do things differently than what you can do with decentralized finance. And I've really been passionate about using unique DeFi tokenomics and incorporating it into a system to provide benefit to the user.
Yeah, cool. We look forward to hearing about those tokenomics. So is this the entire team?
We have a few other members of the team. Sadly, they're not able to make it right now, but one of them really focused on community, others content creation, and other aspects like that. But yeah, I think the team's about, what is it, like 6 people-ish?
Yeah,
about?
we're at 6 now. We were at 7, but we're at 6 again.
Cool. And have y'all worked on any projects before? And how'd you meet and start working on All In?
Definitely. I think a few of us in the past known each other more personally. I met this team through just being in a lot of the same discords as them. Have not worked on a project in the past before, so I think this is a really exciting opportunity to just get my feet wet in this. I've really come from more of a traditional marketing background, so just wanted to apply a lot of things that I've learned, but also learn new skills at the same time in this world as well too. Since DeFi is just very exciting, innovative. Lots of things are changing really fast at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure. It is a super exciting space. I enjoy it tremendously. So good. Well, now let's talk a little about the project. So so what is all in? What what need or problem do you hope to address? And then please feel free to move on into the asset specifically if it's appropriate.
Yeah, I think I'll take the lead here. So on launch, we're going to have two main tokens, which is going to be our all token and our all plus token. The all token is going to be a deflationary. I use that term a little loosely, but yes, it is going to be overall deflationary. And then the all plus token is actually going to be an appreciating algo stable. We have a very interesting mechanism built into the all token that we call it the reserve. Essentially, every little bit of like some of the taxes, whatever, are going to route to the appreciating stable, and it's going to be a backing reserve for that token that's going to be directly redeemable through the smart contract. So over time, it's kind of like a bucket filling up with water. It can go one of two ways. The price of the token could go down and meet that price and provide like a hard floor, or that bucket could fill up with water or with value over time and actually push the price higher. It's appreciating floor price is effectively what it is without using a DEX. As far as like a token, not a token, an issue or a problem we're trying to address within a space, we're actually just building tools that can capture better leverage. I think it's the best way to describe it. We're not fixing an inherent flaw somewhere. We're just providing additional opportunities for investors to generate additional yield with very little action from themselves without going through effectively farming, because these tokens are, in a sense, self-farming. Before we go on, do you guys want to add anything else before we jump into the Asset Plus?
Definitely. I guess like part of the idea too is really being able to support a lot of the ecosystem projects at the end of the day, and just create more value across the ecosystem. Since I guess what we've really seen in this space as a whole, the more integrated you are in the ecosystem, the better it is. The more partners you have, the more value you provide, rather than being like a very isolated project. So that's kind of the like gist of our just ecosystem that we're trying to build at the end of the day. But yeah, good. Doing right ahead to the next item.
Okay, yeah,
yeah.
So I want to explain the All Plus token a little bit farther. It is going to be backed in USDC, which is available across every blockchain at this point, every smart chain. It's going to appreciate through different means. The main one's going to be its inherent tax. It's going to have a 1% tax on every transaction, where that's going to funnel back into the smart contract itself to appreciate its internal value. So it's going to be minting less than what it's being locked in. So there's always an over collateralization happening inside the project versus where beforehand. So no matter what, it's always growing in value base compared to its base asset. USDC, doesn't move in price. It's inherently a stable. So when we apply this same model over to something like Bitcoin that does move in price, if we have a token that we call Bitcoin Plus, for example, as Bitcoin moves up and down in value, this token will also track that at a ratio, right? So it's always they're going to launch at a 1.0 ratio, but they're going to slowly grow in value to 1.05, 1.1 ratio, 1.2, and onwards and upwards, right? So if you have something that's tracking 1.2 times the price of Bitcoin and Bitcoin moves 10%, that 1% little transaction fee starts to become pretty neglectable when you're getting a self-leveraged token effectively with zero risk to the actual capital behind it. So it becomes very interesting down the road. And so as we apply these to different tokens, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Binance Coin, we could do Phantom, we could do really anything. We're planning on offering this as a service down the road too. So any smaller token that anyone ever wants, we could apply the same thing, and it would inherit all its lower qualities. It's a wrapper asset is what it is. So something like even a tax token, right? We could apply that, and it would also incorporate those directly into it and adding a 1% tax on top through the wrapper asset. And then as we go farther on, we had the idea we could offer something called, we're calling an ETF Plus. We can use effectively the same thing, but instead of backing one asset, we can design it to back in multiple assets. So it works like like a index fund effectively inside the token, a tokenized index fund. And there's going to be an option to basically build your own. We're going to have ours that we incentivize, and you're going to have the option to create your own if you want as well.
Yeah, I think that'll be really an interesting feature to be able to do ETF Plus as a service.
Yeah, and not to get too far into it, but as we do ETF Plus as a service, effectively we can approach a different protocol in the space that has like a token or two. A really big project in Phantom is Tomb, as most people are aware. We could do something where we offer like a Tomb T-share and then a stable component. And so you're exposed to all tokens inside that facet of that ecosystem. Or you could do like the life side of it, or that is all of it. You could do Tomb, T-share, life, L-share, and then do a stable component as well. We would prefer to use our All Plus token because it appreciates, and that's just going to be added value inside that ETF as well. And so if we can build these products and offer them to these people and the community accepts it, it's only driving up the price of their tokens as it locks more of their supply inside the contract. And that little bit of tax also helps build our treasury so we can offer more products to more products and tools to the wider community.
Yeah, makes sense. So speaking of treasury, let's kind of go right into the hard question here. What's the the business model? What's the project business model here? So I see you've got taxes, most of which flow back into the token treasuries, but some flow back into the project treasury, an RBOT, and then of course a treasury to invest. But only the treasury really works without ongoing trading volume. So so tell me a little more about what the plan is to to ultimately make money and create a sustainable business.
Well, the best way to look at this is the all token is going to be kind of your DJ play, right? That's the one we're going to have to spend most of our time, curating and taking care of as a product. The other ones are going to be tools, your All Plus, your Asset Plus, your ETFs Plus. Those are all going to be tools that are just essentially generating revenue and then value back into the treasury for us to support the all token through not necessarily buyback and burns, but through supporting the reserve and the RBOT itself. If it has a larger pool of money to play with, it can ARB different pools a lot better. We do plan on running the ARB service on all of our protocol owned liquidity, but we're also planning on doing different bonding options through our emission pool as well. So we're going to have many options for people to stake either single assets, LPs, but also bond at a discount so we could directly get value to support those directly. So some of these work with volume and without volume, and it doesn't necessarily, they can't work together. Does anyone want to add anything to that?
Definitely. And I think the more long-term component is that our team, one of the members is very just well-known in the poker industry as a whole. So what we kind of envision as a very long-term goal is to make a very first-of-a-kind compliant, basically poker game on Phantom, which is, basically going to leverage our All Plus token at the end of the day, and then they creates more utility, volume, other things like that. But yeah, that's really just very, very long-term thinking at that point. So we're not there yet, of course. Not going to be there for a while, but that's really the, I guess, long-term utility about how this project will make more money, essentially. So yeah, that'll be really exciting when we get there.
And adding to that, what I will say about the long-term vision for poker is that I'd mentioned one of the things that I loved about DeFi was that it provides us an opportunity to do unique things with tokenomics that you can't apply to like your typical centralized finance or a typical business model or structure. So we're going to be using some of these DeFi tokenomics to be able to explore an innovative type of approach to a poker DApp that has not been done before, that we intend on completely disrupting the space with this application. And we do have our brand ambassador, McFiddlefaddle, or Craig Chait. He is a professional poker player and we'll be heavily marketing the product, and is a big fan and going to play a big part of the design of the application as well.
And that's a very cool hook. And now your logo and branding makes much more sense to me.
Yeah, we originally envisioned this as like a poker themed idea, and we're kind of trying to stick to it, even though if it's a longer term play. Just to add to that, we are planning. If anyone's looked at our roadmap so far, we are offering different DApp services that we're planning on, from a DAO to yield farms to the emissions staking and the bonding mechanisms, but also the leverage yield farms, which are going to get very interesting, which is going to be more of a borrow and lending platform than it is an actual leveraged yield farm. So there's going to be a lot of utility down the road. Obviously, we have to get there and we have to build these. But as we go, once you look at the emissions model and how it's kind of controls the supply as we're also going to be burning those tokens, it can be very interesting in a short amount of time.
Yeah, cool. So you plan to incentivize liquidity at the outset with the all token?
Not just the all token, but the all plus token, the different asset plus tokens. Most of these are going to be protocol owned liquidity that we're going to be like self farming and self incentivizing. So we plan on separating these to the different dexes over time for different reasons, right? There's a lot of reasons why it makes sense, but not purely the all token. It's going to be a lot of everything.
Oh, cool. That makes a lot of sense. And are you prepared to share the DEX you're launching on yet?
We're still tied between 2 or 3, but it's looking like we're going to go spooky swap since they're kind of the big player in the phantom space. But it's not set yet. There could be a hook coming.
Well, good. We'll keep our eyes peeled. And boy, I see you have your hand up. We'll take questions towards the end. So let's see. So and you will farm with treasury. That makes sense. So you're trying to make the incentivization and liquidity generally self-sustaining as well.
Exactly. So when you look in the future, if we have an all plus Bitcoin plus pairing, effectively instead of selling the Bitcoin and switching that Bitcoin over to USDC and then minting additional all plus token, we're just gonna incentivize it directly, and that pool itself is just gonna funnel back into the treasury to help us build more tokens, or go straight to the reserve to bring up that appreciating floor price for the all token. So it all ends up working together in synergy.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. So now why don't we dive in a little more to the mechanics of, especially asset plus and ETF plus, and the potential to do ETF plus as a service. How are these mechanically similar to things like X tokens and hourglass contracts?
They're pretty similar. There's no sort of dividend mechanism, if you want to call it that, where we're airdropping tokens. It's purely, if I have, let's say I have $100 of USDC, right, and I want to mint through the contract, you're getting a receipt token back, which would be the all plus, but that 1% tax would only mint 99 receipt tokens from the 100 you deposited. So, and then on the other side, when you redeem it, you're redeeming that 99, and then you're getting another 1% tax on the backside. And all that money is just staying inside the contract. And that ratio of the backing to the receipt tokens, it was what providing the main sort of appreciation just from that aspect. But once we build our additional utilities for these, they're going to be funneling in directly USDC into those back contracts. So it's appreciating without any transactional volume in the long term. And then by extension of that, the Asset Plus are really just a mirror of those, where all the transaction fees are just going into that contract, but we kind of change the tax structure a tiny bit. It's still going to be a 1%, but then 0.9 is going to the contract, and then 0.1 is going to the treasury on each transaction.
Oh, cool. So yeah, these will be fairly efficient then.
Yeah, I've never heard the term hourglass contracts before. I think these are similar. If you can give me a brief explanation of those, I think it might be the same.
They're similar. They appreciate against a floor, and are backed with tokens held in the contract. They have the capability for dividends to be paid out. Is the difference versus, I think, the MNX tokens, which typically are just an index number, right, increasing against a base.
Okay, it is interesting. So an important thing, these aren't going to have any sort of dividends. It's just the value of the token you hold will grow over time, not the amount of tokens that you hold. To combine that, there are very similar models like Compound has their C tokens, Anchor has its different bond tokens. There's Stater tokens as well. People might be familiar with, where essentially you're depositing that money and you're getting an equal receipt, and they invest that money for you, and they provide a yield on it, kind of like in a set percentage. So Compound's really interesting because they kind of took like more of a Celsius route, right, where they're promising a certain APR over time. Like, hey, if you deposit us, we're going to give you 10% APR over a year, right? And so if you bought this one token, it should be worth 1.1 a year from now, right? So ours, we're not promising any sort of actual liquidity. We are not touching that underlying tokens in that contract. It's fully safe. It's purely inside the contract. We are testing this on testnet right now through different auditing services through our dev, and we're seeing really good results. The dev we're using is actually, he's an ex-Certec dev, so he comes with him a lot of experience from these different security standpoints on smart contracts and tokenomics. And just to play into that a little bit, we aren't promising an APR, but these being self-farming and self-compounding in a way, they're going to explode in APR value. You might actually have to switch over to an APY to more correctly display what's working here.
Oh, cool. That's exciting. That will be exciting to see. And you anticipated my next question, which was going to be about security, but good good preemptive answer.
Yeah, we can go more to security. Again, we do plan to fully do different audits through. We're kind of weighing it through Solidity or Certec at the moment. I think our dev has a good connection through Certec, so we might get a bit of a discount there. So it might make sense to go to that higher tier that Certec offers for projects. And if anyone's interested in the dev that we're using for these initial contracts, we're more than happy to share it. It's dapt.com, DAPPT. They provide a very good service on Binance as their home network. They do a lot of ETH, a lot of Binance. I think we might be their first Phantom project, but just add to that, Phantom is just EVM, so it doesn't make a huge difference.
Oh, cool. Well, hopefully you'll bring another developer over to the Phantom ecosystem as well. So would you talk to us a little bit about your plans for community creation and generating engagement and so forth, and kind of getting and spreading the word?
Definitely. Well, a few different aspects in that. So really first one is, of course, crypto Twitter is the home base for a lot of things just crypto related. So of course, getting more aggressive with that in our promotion. We've also launched a invite campaign as well too. So basically, depending on the number of invites you get to join our Discord server, you can win like $200 in all token, 150 or 100, depending on the tiers with that. And then there's like a few other things that we're trying to basically accomplish. Next is really just focusing on crypto education as a whole. So create a whole series of videos trying to help users understand what a stablecoin is, how taxes work, risks of a smart contract, other aspects like that, since this whole world is very new, and mass adoption won't start until we get the people who are not familiar with this ideas to just get more comfortable with them. So we're developing a series of videos on that side of it. And then also really just trying to foster a community that, really creates an open space for all discussion, make it as friendly as possible. So the idea behind that as well too, since we have like a lot of asset pluses and other things like that, we don't have to keep our chat to one specific token. We can open it up and everyone can basically talk how they want, except of course no shilling at that point. And then just trying to figure out how to like further stimulate just like engagement within the community through games and other things like that. You can host like a game night and just make it more exciting and stuff like that, and just really keeping it as transparent as possible about like our actions, our plans, and that other aspect like that. While also like the other piece of it too can also be like promoting partnerships within our community as well too. So the really main idea with it all is just to create an all-inclusive environment, everything crypto, similar to what you guys do. So we're just really just trying to, first, I guess, leverage the promotion for just people joining our Discord. So invite your friends and win your money.
Yeah, cool. Now the poker and ETFs and what baskets of assets should be in them, right? Seem like natural places to generate engagements. Very cool.
Definitely.
So any upcoming partnerships you can share or things of that nature?
At the moment, we're discussing some very early stages, so there's a little bit more confidential at the moment. But they're going to be really, I guess, complementing to our products, really help us to expand outwards. And then, some of the partnerships are going to be either marketing based as well too. But yeah, it's very early stages at the moment, so we're just trying to keep it a little bit more confidential until it's really finalized in that sense.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah. And just to add to the whole partnership thing, I can't tell you a number of how many people we're talking to, but I can give you a broad strokes about like the different areas they're in. There are different marketing sides. There's some that exist more on the auto compounder and deck side. There's also some VC funding that we're actively talking to. So it's very interesting a very interesting place. I can't get too far into it, but you should be very hyped about what's coming up.
Cool. Good luck. And then how about pre-sale and launch? When are plans, or is there a pre-sale? Will there be a whitelist? How can people get involved?
So we're having a pre-sale in I think like probably in a few weeks, sometime in February. It just really depends on just of course making sure everything is secure, is all tested out and stuff. So yeah, we're having that as well. Basically, pre-sale will come with a discounted price. So the idea with it is, of course, buy cheaper, sell higher. And then we have a public launch afterwards. And then following that, bonding options will be shortly available afterwards. So stay tuned for the pre-sale. It'll happen very soon. It'll come through our announcements, of course. But we're getting closer every day with just making sure everything is in order and we can just start moving fast.
Yeah, excellent. Well, we're excited to see what's coming. So now any closing thoughts, and then we'll open it up to questions.
Definitely. Well, yeah, we thank you for your time again. This has been really fantastic. I guess really stay connected with us. Join our Discord. Of course, the pre-sale's coming. So if you're really interested in our future products or want to support us, join our Discord and stay connected. Chat with us. We're always here around. You want to discuss anything crypto related, DeFi? Yeah, we're happy to be those partners in that sense. We're a very friendly team and really looking forward to hopefully making a big splash in the Phantom ecosystem ASAP.
Yeah, cool. We're excited to have another active team on Phantom. Good. So anybody in the audience, please feel free to raise your hand. Otherwise, I'm going to start looking through the questions in the chat channel.
I'm looking through the AMA chat right now, and I'm getting a lot of questions that don't seem related to us. I'm not sure where to start.
Right, we've got a couple that are. So here's one that is related. Mega Boy asks, "What are the long?" And I know you answered this, but worth answering again real fast. What are the long-term sustainable value drivers for the All token, and will there be a DAO implemented?
I'm going to start with number 2 first. There is plans to do a DAO. We're kind of playing with a fun name right now called the All Father. It's kind of fun. Do a little bit of a Norse theme there. The DAO will exist to vote on different mechanics down the road as far as which Asset Plus that we launch next, which ETFs that we launch as like as a core ETF versus like a user created one. Maybe potential partnerships that we engage if it makes sense. The longer term of this protocol goes on, the more we're going to implement more strictly through the DAO, purely to have a larger community focus, right? We want it to be one-on-one with the community, to have them fully involved in any major decisions that we're making. But those decisions will be curated by the team. I see a lot of projects kind of fail in that sense. To answer number one, long-term sustainable drivers, it's important to know that the more tokens or the more asset plus tokens and ETF tokens we come out with that create additional volume will just funnel back to the treasury so we can support the alt token more, but also the more value through the alt token itself will also fill up that reserve bucket, if you will, inside the smart contract itself, raising that floor price. So that floor price is going to be you're going to be able to manipulate it different ways. And when I say manipulate, I mean add to it. We can bring in more all plus tokens to the contract itself to just raise that value. But also, the more people utilize the all plus token, it's going to grow on its own. So you got to imagine if we're launching on a market cap of, let's just say, 1 million or 2 million, right? And we're starting with $100,000 of all plus tokens in there that are 100% value backed. Once that all plus token grows to 1.5%, 1.5% ratio, or 150% above its original peg of USDC, again, fully backed, that value over here already grew from $100,000 to $150,000 with no value, with no transactional volume through the all token. So the more all token goes over here, the more you burn. It just works in there. It's a really simple mechanism through the redeem, right? Because it's just the total supply divided by the total amount of all plus tokens in the contract itself. So as we burn more of that supply, either through buyback and burns or through redemptions, it's going to play with that metric. And if we get to a point where we have $500,000 in the reserve, but then we're down to 50 million of the original tokens, the reserve price quadruples on its own. My math might be a little off. It could actually just be a double, but in the longer term, it's going to get very explosive, but we have to build that in that meantime. And as we're building it, we're creating new utilities through our different DApp offerings down the road.
Even so, though, Matt or Doom, I would just say that that all plus in and of itself within the Phantom ecosystem is going to be long-term, like a long-term play. So right now, Phantom's really early in its development, and I think a lot of us in here expect a huge boom for the next bull run within the Phantom ecosystem. And it's our goal to be a part of that now and in the future. And by that, I mean every protocol within their liquidity pools has a pairing with a typical stable. And it's our vision to be the stable of choice for all the liquidity pool pairings within the Phantom ecosystem, continuing to drive volume on all plus and be that stable backing that is slowly appreciating to bring value to their token as well, versus it just staying stable on the pair side with the USDC. So I think that's a long-term play, and that the more partnerships that we can make and the more liquidity pool pairings that we make as the ecosystem grows, the better it'll be for the all token because of the reserve value continuing to grow through that volume.
Yeah, so effectively, we have a stronger business to business or protocol to protocol sense than we do a protocol to investor. But obviously, these tools are going to be free to use to any sort of investors as well. Something to add to that, the All Plus makes sense as an alternative to a USDC pairing on Phantom. But once we come out with the Phantom Plus token, it'd be really hard to not want to utilize that as well for a lot of these other partnerships or protocols, right? So if you have something that outperforms Phantom while tracking it, and something that outperforms USDC while also being backed by it, it makes it really hard as a protocol to not want to incentivize that for your investors as well. It's just free appreciation.
Yeah, that would be great if you could drive super deep liquidity to it. So I think that also answered Logos's question, which was how will you make the circulating supply of all always decrease with respect to transactions and swaps? Will buyback and burn be a mechanism used in all-in to accomplish this feat?
Yeah, and it's just important to note that buyback and burn is an option, and that's what normal deflationary tokens almost fully rely on. But because we have the reserve mechanism as well, it gives us not only a second one, but it gives us different options to run through those together in a sense, right? So you don't necessarily have to fully work on deflating the all token. We can focus on appreciating the all plus at the same time, and it's like a double whammy effect. If you know your mathematics, it's a simple division, right? If you change the top or the bottom, it dramatically changes the outcome. And what would the next question be?
I think the next one is from Saul. Can you please link your socials?
Hey, there we go. I'll leave that one to Pegasus over here. So we do have a Twitter, we do have the Discord, we do have a website and a Gitbook. The website, it's live, but it needs some love. It's fine. Once we have some more funding, we plan on making a very professional one. It's in the works. The Gitbook, I think, is pretty well fleshed out. I've gotten some feedback it's a little convoluted. It is on a deeper level because we want to explain these mechanisms pretty well. Oh, and it looks like Pegasus dropped out.
I'm sorry about that.
It's okay.
You got timed out by our bot.
That's what he gets.
Okay. In the AMA channel, I'm going to link our Discord. It has all the links for pretty much all the other socials inside there.
Don't do it. It'll time you out too. Oh no.
There he goes. The Lone Ranger.
Oh, I'm sorry. And I have no idea how to get them back. Let me see if I can. It's only
No
2
problem.
minutes, so they'll be back in 2 minutes, I assume.
No problem.
I found that hilarious, though. We are a well-moderated server.
That's important. Got to keep the bots out.
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
Can you hear me?
The Discord is in the Twitter description. Hey,
Yep.
Relentless.
We can hear you.
Hey, what's up, guys? Been at work, so I haven't been able to hop on here. But yeah, we are working on the timeouts for certain things in certain channels, and definitely within the AMA chat. We'll get all those kind of wrapped up this weekend. Sorry about that.
Any other questions in the server that we can throw out there while we wait for Matt or for Doom and Pegasus to get back?
Let me see. I don't think so. I think we got everything. I guess Saul asks. Saul asks if it says doesn't really understand it fundamentally, but but maybe he's just not unclear. Higher fee. I think that's a not equals higher revenue. It's kind of a bet on volatility.
So we are playing on volatility, but more importantly, the play is in that reserve as the backing contract for all. Whether or not, as Doom alluded to, that floor price gets to the top of that bucket, matching our current value of the all token, or whether or not the all token drops down to that floor price. And once that floor price is reached, there's going to be a huge opportunity for investors for arbitrage, for buying and redeeming once it's below the backing value, as well as the volume on the all plus token that we're hoping to create, not only through liquidity pool pairings with partners across Phantom, but also through the planned poker app as part of the main currency used for exchange on that poker application.
Cool. And we've got Boy Chase in the audience raising his hand. I've sent you an invite, so hopefully that works and he'll make it up on stage. Welcome to the stage.
We can't hear you, boy.
Okay, I'm back. I'm pretty sure Saul was trolling all of us. He knew what was going to happen.
I enjoyed it tremendously, though. So whatever the reason. Thank you.
All right, now where were we before I got timed out?
We were answering that last Sol's question about. Let me find it up here. About volatility.
I'm trying to find it. Okay, so I see the one where he's talking about higher fees not equal to higher revenue, right? And he says it's kind of a bet on volatility. It is. Our system, our ecosystem, I should say, is fully based on capturing volatility as revenue, effectively, or as earnings, if you will. Crypto is the most volatile space that exists. I think we can all agree to that. Something like Bitcoin can swing, $5,000 on a normal day and keep a almost stable price. So it's maybe not at this point, but at higher points, it can still swing 5 to 6% in a single day. So once you implement that 1% tax on the minting slash buying, and then on the selling slash burning side, you have a 2% in and out. Again, if I had $100 and I deposit it and I lose that 1% because I'm minting 99 receipt tokens, your 99 receipt tokens, at least on the lower TVL side, you're still going to get like 99.9% of value. So you're almost losing almost 10 cents in that sense. And as it grows, obviously that comes back pretty quickly. But volatility is what we want, and it does help us better. And approaching this from a business to business point works a lot better, because if you like the idea of what this token does, but maybe you don't care for our project, but you have your favorites over here, if you incentivize them to maybe help form a partnership with us, or incentivize, hey, they're a little stagnant and this could maybe bring them back to life a little bit, effectively it helps us too. You don't have to be on our team if you just want to use our tools, but the tools also come back and help us as well. I don't know if I'm answering your question correctly. Maybe you want me to go a little bit deeper on that, Saul. And just to run another example, maybe if this helps, if Bitcoin's trading at 20K, which is I think is the current price right now, at least it was, and then our token launches, kind of grows a little bit while Bitcoin's stagnant, and our Bitcoin Plus model token is trading at 1.1 ratio, so it'd be trading at 22,000. I'm not saying you have to have a full 1 Bitcoin in there for it to make sense, but if Bitcoin went up 5% or 10%, right, to 22K, ours would now be tracking, what, 24-ish? 22 times 0.1? Yeah, it'd be tracking 24.2. So you very quickly get that 1% back, if not almost immediately, on these Asset Plus tokens. It's a little bit harder than the All Plus. Did we lose somebody?
I think that was just Boy Chase and Relentless heading back down to the audience.
Okay. But yeah, you very quickly make up that 1%. But again, it's an enter and then an exit. So if you can hold it as long as you want, and it will still grow in value during that time. So if you want to sit it and hold, that's fine. If you're not seeing the returns you want, you can sell back down. It's important to note that these tokens scale mostly on sell pressure, because you sell, you're decreasing the receipt token supply, and then you're locking a lot of that in the back as well. So it will go through these periods of expansion and contraction where it's going to expand pretty quickly with a very logarithmic growth, and then it will stagnate a little bit, and then people aren't seeing the returns they want, or it's not doing that, or the TVL is so high that it takes more and more volume to scale at the same rate. So you'll go through these contraction periods where people are selling, people are going down, and the price starts growing from an exponential standpoint. So when you look at the mathematics behind it, it gets very interesting. But again, it is a long term. This isn't going to explode and go, 35x in 6 months. These are just tools. They're tracking underlying assets. And as they grow larger in size and ratio, they become passively leveraged. And so the leverage becomes more fun as a swing trader or anything else. I see Boy Chase is back up here.
Yeah, did you get that microphone working, Boy Chase? We still cannot hear you. It doesn't look like you're clicking in. You might need to set a push to talk button.
If you just want to type your question too, I'll be happy to answer.
Well, anyway, why don't we? It looks like that's all the questions we have. So, any other, any closing remarks, anybody, or shall we start closing?
I have one more thing to say. Effectively, if you like the tools and you like the ideas that we're going to have down the road, please support us in our pre-sale. Please come over to our Discord and ask us any more questions that you have. Again, if we don't go through the pre-sale, if we don't get our feet off the ground, we're never going to build these other products that people might be interested in. So just food for thought, everybody. Oh, Boy Chasers. I'm reading it right now.
Oh, cool.
Okay, so you're saying the experience and background of our team been effective in the success of your project so far. We actually haven't launched yet. That's a very important note. A lot of us have never done a project before, but we're also not doing the dev work. We're outsourcing to very reputable devs that are just building these base contracts for us that we're going to expand upon in the future. It's very important to note that we're basically handling the marketing side and the partnership side on the original sense. And as we grow, we're going to take some of these devs that we're already partnered with and we're going to fold them in as basically salaried employees. And they're going to continue to build these other things at the same quality. We're only working with these devs that have a very extensive background, both on the security side and on a multifaceted project side. They've built tomb forks, they've built different deflationaries, they built different algo stables, uh, countless like launch pads and NFT projects. They're not new to the space. And again, I gave the information earlier, I can give it again. It's dapt, DAPPT.com. They do a lot. You could reach out to them yourselves and vet their credibility as well.
Cool. And Jack Withs says not asking for exact numbers, but can you elaborate on what you're paying for these contract developments?
You said DAPT. I'm seeing that one, but I'm also trying to work with Saul right now. I'll get him the correct link. Okay, it was DAPT. Instead of a T, it's a D on the end.
Oh, I had captured it with a T as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I did say T, but it was a D. I was incorrect there. So I got that. And going to about Jack with an S. What is the fee structure on those contract developments? So I don't want to get into numbers. I don't want to give numbers exactly, and you're not asking for that. But effectively, we work with them. We build these smart contracts, and the All Plus contract, the Asset Plus contract, effectively they're the same contract with the variations between them. As we build that first one, we're effectively forking our own code and changing these to benefit the specific asset that we're launching off the end of that. So we built a wrapper contract effectively that can be applied to any base asset.
Oh, thanks, Mr. White. We have a Discord invite now. And thanks for the good questions, everybody. That was some interesting discussion.
Yeah, I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody because this chat is a little back and forth. If anyone has any more questions, raise your hand, send a question. I'm happy to answer it. Or if DJ Nick over here wants to close us down, you could always join us on our Discord and ask all the same questions. Jack with the S is typing. Maybe I didn't answer him very well.
Yeah, cool. Happy to keep going for a few minutes if there's more content. Let's do it.
Okay, so if we're not the devs, how do we assess the security? Well, again, the security, we partnered with a dev who promotes security because of their background, right? They're building a product that is also going directly to audit through different auditors. We could have several audits, but we're kind of looking at one to start with. We are looking at Surtech. I think they're more reputable in the space versus someone like Solidly, but there's also 1,000 auditors out there now. I'm going with the one that's more widely known because people accept it more. That being said, the dev is an ex-Surtech employee, so he understands security at a level me myself would never understand. I know a little bit of coding. I don't know it enough to launch a good product without flaws. And so it's not my forte, so that's why I'm not focusing on that. I think it's a really important note. You go to the experts because you want something professional, right?
I would also note that the developer that we're using is a regulated business in the United States and is a doxed individual on his own company and website.
And that's really important. That's a big difference where you're working for a Certic, former Certic employee whose employment you can verify versus a Discord anon who says he worked for Certic.
And to touch on the Jack's additional note on the good behavior of the initial dev, we are going to be given the ownership contract or the ownership address of those. So we will be in full control the moment these are live, right? The dev will help us establish these, launch them, and get them started, but then we are taking over full ownership after that point. So anything that happens will be fully on us, not the dev. Most of these contracts will be immutable at the same time, just to add to that. So even though they're immutable, we can't really change them. We still have access to the ownership as well.
Yeah, cool. And Jack may have one more question for us. Jack's with S, right?
Yeah, and I see Saul's additional comment. People do not really accept Certec. If you have a better auditing service out there, I'm more than happy to vet it and look through it. I'm not married to Certec. It seems like the ecosystem's married to Certec, so that's what we're approaching.
And certainly they're one of the few that are actually developing software to do formal verification of contracts.
Yeah, that's the way I see it. If they're the big player in the space, I'm not going to avoid them. I'm going to run to them. It sounds like Jack with an S might be done from what I'm reading. Which again, if you have any more questions, join us on our Discord. You can find it through the Twitter, or you can find it through our Discord invite. I think might also be in the Discord AMA announcement channel. Yeah, it's in there. So you can join us over there. Ask any questions that pop into your mind.
Yeah, awesome. Well, great. Well, thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. We're grateful for your time and support. Happy to be able to spend the time with you and our guests. Thanks to Pegasus, Doom Infinity, and Metric 8 for joining us. It was lovely to hear about All In. We're excited to see the launch and hear about pre-sale and partnerships and all the exciting things they plan to build. If you're hearing this now on YouTube, do us a favor and hit that like and subscribe to help us expand our reach. Once again, I'm DeGenic from DeFi Raiders, and we'll see you next time.